Hi, this is Margo. This is Sunday evening, March the 5th, 2023. I hope everyone is safe and doing as well as possible. And another week has passed, and I'd like to welcome everyone to the show tonight. This will be my weekly update that I'll be putting on YouTube. We'll be going over climate-related items, methane for the week, Arctic sea ice and Antarctic sea ice, and looking at NASA Worldview and earthquakes. And I want to start off with this from National Snow and Ice Data Center. I did post this in my community area. This came out on the 27th this week, and Antarctic sea ice settles on record low extent again. On February 21st, Antarctic sea ice likely reached its annual minimum extent of 1.79 million square kilometers, or 691,000 square miles. This is the lowest sea ice extent in the 1979 to 2023 sea ice record, setting a record low for the second straight year. And then it goes into overview of conditions and all of that. But here's what it looked like at that. Actually, I've got a better image of that. Hold on, I'll get it. Okay, I'm back. And here's that image from the 21st. And this is sea ice concentration, and you can see the extent on this as well. The brown lines, that's the median, so it's well below the median. And also it happened on February 21st last year. The minimum was reached, I think it was on the 28th, so we reached it a week earlier, and it's at an all-time record low. And here was the chart of the extent for that day, and we can zoom in. This blue line is this year. This dark kind of grayish green line is last year. And see, it was still going down last year until, well, here was March 1st, and I think it was the 28th was the lowest, and here we are on the 21st this year at the lowest. And the Arctic sea ice is still gaining slightly, but anyway, you can read all this. I'll leave a link below with the overview, and it says conditions in context. Here's all the different years, and here we are, lowest, second year in a row for the lowest, and we reached it a week earlier this year. So there's that. And if you haven't had a chance to watch the tutorial that I put up yesterday, CAMS has changed their website, and the the data is still there, but it's just on different pages, and they redesigned a whole bunch of stuff. And I like it. I find it easy to use, and I did a tutorial on that yesterday so that y'all can go over to CAMS yourself and find your way around with looking at the things that I like to look at. And there's more. I'm sure that there's more. And I mean, it's a huge operation, but make sure and check that out. And now let's look at Climate Reanalyzer. This is maximum temperatures around the world for today. And here's the cold air over the Arctic. We've got warm air coming up through the over the Bering Strait and the Chukchi Sea, and also in this North Atlantic. Also Greenland, see the aqua. This is a lot warmer than normal. And then here's the cold temperatures across the U.S. in the north. Also California, and I'm in the Reno, Nevada area, and we've got another round of cold temperatures. We got snow, about 4 inches last night. Then the sun came out today and melted most of it off the sidewalks and streets. But Southern California has gotten hit with a bunch of snow, and nobody knows how to function in it down there. So they're getting a crash course in survival. And if you know a snowstorm is coming, you need to stock up on food and essentials. And I think it's good to have some in reserve anyway, because you never know when you're not going to be able to go and get groceries or over-the-counter medications and stuff like that. And so it's good to have some reserve. And here we are with the flat view of the globe. We've got whites down here in Argentina, and a lot of whites across equatorial Africa, a lot of whites across Australia. We've got some whites showing up in India, and that's 40 C or higher, and 104 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. Here's 2-meter temperature anomaly for today, and here's the brown over this Bering Sea and Bering Strait and Chukchi Sea. And look at Greenland. It's all red and brown. Baffin Bay is all red. This Canadian archipelago is up into the pink zone, pinkish, 24 to 26 C, higher than normal, and then browns for the rest of this archipelago region, all the way up to the Arctic Ocean there. Then we've got browns in Russia across, and right next to all this is blues, which is colder than normal, and purples here in East Siberia. And look at Canada, dark blue. That dark blue, 10 to 14 C lower than normal, or 10 to 14 C lower than normal. And C comes all the way across, including Nevada and California, going down into Baja, Mexico as well. And then brown's right next to it. Let's see. Here's the flat view. And see, we've got a lot of browns on this east side here. Here's our overview. Worldwide, we're up 0.8 C, higher than normal. The northern hemisphere is up 1.28 C, higher than normal. This has been going up all week, that northern hemisphere. The Arctic is up 1.89 C, higher than normal. This had been higher, so it's come down, but it's going back up a little bit. The Antarctic is up 0.08 C. Southern hemisphere is up 0.31 C, and the tropics are up 0.49 C. So all of the regions are in the plus range, higher than normal, and the northern hemisphere and the Arctic are the big ones here for the big variation, and worldwide 0.8 C, so that's going up. And you know, you can have extremely cold temperatures with the rest of the planet heating up too, and we see that because the jet stream is broken, and you know, it doesn't keep the cold air in around the poles. Here's precipitation and clouds. We've got rain, sea coming up in the Bering Sea, and then snow up over the Chukchi Sea. And we've got rain here in the North Atlantic. Now, I think it was yesterday or day before, there was rain coming up right to the edge of Greenland. And the National Snow and Ice Data Center will start reporting on the Greenland ice sheet melt 1st of April. Not until April, but I'm sure there was some melting there a couple of days ago. And then we've got snow up here in the North Atlantic. And then here's this next system coming across the Atlantic. This is what we just finished with in the U.S. And here's this system that came in last night, and there's more heading in. Here's the flat view. Here's Pacific view. And see, the rain is coming further south, almost up to the Antarctic coastlines. Look at this. That's a strange, you know, just like a straight line going up. Here are the jet pieces. It's not a stream anymore. You can see the cold air looping down and the warm air here. You can see how it's broken. And look at all the different loops. There's like 5 or 6 different loops, at least. Here's the Pacific view. Here's that straight line. See, with the taking the rain straight up. And this, it splits off, and then see one arm goes kind of around the equator, and then it comes back up. It comes all the way across. Total chaos there. We'll look at sea ice in a minute. And here's sea surface temperature anomaly. This is for yesterday. And we've had browns here in this Barents Sea all winter long. It stayed warm, never cooled down, and so there's no sea ice where you see the browns. And we can see it's warming here around Svalbard. And this has stayed brown around Greenland and the southern part of the Baffin Bay, and this area in the North Atlantic, just off the coast of North America. This is always like in the reds and pinks. And the pink, they need to update this. The highest it goes is 6°C higher than normal. And I know that these temperatures get higher than that. And here in the Gulf of Mexico, this has stayed in the browns, which is like 2 to 4°C higher than normal. Here's the Atlantic view, and see it's brown all the way down. And we can see the Mediterranean it stayed brown all winter long. Here's the Black Sea, it's in the brown. Caspian Sea, it's most of that's in the brown. Red Sea is in the brown. Persian Gulf is in the brown. So these interior bodies of water stayed warm during the winter. Here's the Baltic Sea, even here in the North Sea. I mean, so considering, it's early March and everything stayed brown all winter, I mean, these are going to heat up really fast. And here's the Pacific view. And see, here's this hot area around New Zealand, all the way over to Australia. And you can see that we've got the oceans heating up now on the west side of South America and Central America. This is in the equatorial Pacific region, and this is a sign of La Nina switching to El Nino. And so we've had La Nina for the last several years, which kept things cooler. But the El Nino is setting in, and so with that, it's going to heat things up. So I anticipate this summer to be really super bad. Super hot. And also, we can see browns around the coastline of the Antarctic here too. Let's see. So there's that. Now we'll move on to methane. And I've got 2 days of methane data from NOAA that I need to go over. So we're going to go over Friday and Saturday for the NOAA data. And on CAMS, their most recent methane data is from Friday, so we'll look at that. So here we are for Friday the 3rd on the Met B satellite in the morning, 1000 millibar level. The mean or average was 1841 parts per billion. The high reading was 2125. In the afternoon, the mean was 1840. The high reading was 2174. On the Met C satellite in the morning, the mean was 1845. The high reading was 2120. And in the afternoon, the mean was 1845, and the high reading was 2242. Now, here we are on the 4th in the morning on the Met B. The mean was 1840. The high reading was 2211. In the afternoon, the mean was 1838. The high reading was 2142. On the Met C satellite in the morning, the mean was 1844. The high reading was 2139. And in the afternoon, the mean was 1850, and the high reading was 2249. We do have quite a bit of missing data in these white areas, but I'm going to count this because it's not that much off what we have on the other readings. So here's our weekly chart for the 1000 millibar level. The 4th averaged out to be 1843.0 parts per billion, and so that gave us an increase this week of 2.75. You can see it here from this dot to this dot. So I'll show you what's happened this week. So in our show last Sunday, we ended the week at 1841.25, and that was a slight decrease of 0.75 for the week. And then the 26th went up 2.75. 27th went down 1.0. On the 28th it went down 0.5. On March 1st it went up 2.0. On the 2nd it went down 1.25. On the 3rd it went down 0.5, and then on the 4th it went up 0.25, giving us an overall increase of 1.75 this week. Oh, that's different. I think I made a mistake. Let's see. Let me see where this mistake is. Let's try this again. Okay, 1.75. Here we go. This one was not right. There we go, 1.75. So that was our increase for this week. Now, we'll go back to the 3rd. Now we're switching to the 487 millibar level. Back to Friday, Met B satellite in the morning. The mean was 1911. The high reading was 2475. In the afternoon, the mean was 1913. The high reading was 2366. On the Met-C satellite in the morning, the mean was 1873. The high reading was 2149. In the afternoon, the mean was 1872. And the high reading was 2162. And then for the 4th, on the Met-B in the morning, the mean was 1910. The high reading was 2449. In the afternoon, the mean was 1912. The high reading was 2345. On the Met-C in the morning, the mean was 1873. The high reading was 2208. And in the afternoon, the mean was 1873. And the high reading was 2175. So here's our weekly chart for 487 millibar level. And the 4th averaged out to be 1892.0. That gives us an increase of 2 parts per billion this week. So there it is. So we've gone up 2 weeks in a row. And last week it was went up quite a bit, 3.25. And then this week 2.0. So I think we can safely say we're on the increase now. So the minimum for this season was here on the 16th of 1885 for this level. And it was on the 20th for the 1000 millibar level. It was 1840.25 here on the 1000 millibar level. So now let's see what happened this week. So here we were in our show last week. We ended at 1890.0. So on the 26th, it went up 1.0. 27th, it went down 0.25. 28th, it went up 1.75. On March the 1st, it went down 0.75. March the 2nd went down 0.25. On March the 3rd, it went up 0.75. And on the 4th, it went down 0.25, giving us an overall increase of 2.0 for this week. So it did some stair-stepping, but it was enough increase for us to have an overall increase for this week. So there's that. Now we'll look at cams. So here's our new methane page. And the most recent data here is Friday. Now, let me refresh and see if that still is the most recent data. Yes, it is. And they've only got baseline days for 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So they're lagging on the reporting, and so as soon as they start releasing new data, I'll be recording it and putting it on my Subscribestar page. So we've got Friday as our base time, and it defaults to the valid time too, and we're looking at Arctic view and surface level. So that's where we choose our parameters, and we're going to click on these little circles with the arrows so that it will loop, and we hit play. And here's our movie, and it shows what day we're on down here. So the data is for Friday, and forecast period runs Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. And so we can see Komsomolets is coming back to life here. Look at all this methane coming up through the sea ice here. This East Siberian Sea. Look at all the seas moving into the reddish. Now our color ledger, to see that, you just click on that little square and all these colors, and it's in parts per billion. And as far as I can tell, the color ledger remained the same as far as increments and everything and colors. And so you can compare the color here with here. I mean, it's easy to compare it with it like that. And this bright red, that's 2100 parts per billion. Like, that's this color right here. And here, moving across, see? And then the highest range is 2160 to 10,000 parts per billion. So this is, like I said, coming up through the sea ice. The sun is up in this area. I mean, it's really, there's a lot of the ocean is already in the sunlight now. So, you know, that's all starting to heat up. And so we've got high readings. Let's see when it's here. This is Finland and Russia, and see this interior. And this is North Dakota here. Here's California. Look how that's filled up. Look at Texas east. It's just blobby all the way across. It looks like it's coming up here in the Hudson Bay too. See the yellow? So there's that, and to rewind, just hit that double arrow, and now we'll go, I want to go to the North Pole view. This is really easy to maneuver, and it loads really fast too. And see, we can see all the way down to the equator here. See the waves move out. Europe, see, that's filling back up. Here's the Persian Gulf, that's filled up. India's filled up, spilling over. Here's China filling up. See the waves moving out. Okay, now we'll go to the Antarctic view. So here's the Antarctic, here's the Western Peninsula, here's South America, and this main background color is still that darker blue. That's 1820 parts per billion. That's still like this main background color, and so the next color up is 1840, and we can see it's coming up around the coastlines. See, around this Western Peninsula and the Brunt Ice Shelf. Here's the Amory Ice Shelf, and here's down near Pine Island Glacier. See, there's Amory, and here's the east side. So these are areas where it's coming up constantly. But when the methane rises and this background color gets higher, we can't separate it from where it's coming up around the coastlines. But just suffice to say, it's coming up all the time. And now we'll go to the global view. And see, here's our background color of 1820, and see the lighter 1840, it's creeping in, and that's a sign that methane is on the rise now, where you're seeing more of the higher readings, or the lighter color methane creeping into the southern hemisphere. That's a sign of methane on the rise now. Okay, now we'll look at 500 HPA, and so we go here to the level and choose 500 HPA, and this is the closest we can get to the 487 level on the NOAA data. And we can see it's lighter. It's not all solid, that dark reddish brown. And so we're getting some lower readings further north, and methane is redistributing through the atmosphere as we're going into another season. And then total column, and here we can see highest is here in China and Southern Asia. Here's Philippines. This is just south of India, or the Indian Ocean. And look at these reds that are coming up across the Arctic region. So there's that. Now, we'll just go over a couple more things from CAMS that I like to track. Here's sulfur dioxide today. Got a high reading here off the coast of Peru. That's volcanic, probably, and here in Mexico, that's Popocatépetl and some other volcanoes there. And we've had some higher readings here in Russia this week too. So here it is at 500 HPA, and when it shoots up really fast, you can see it here at 500 HPA, where it shoots up with a forest like volcanoes or pending earthquakes. Sometimes we'll see high sulfur dioxide within a couple of days before the earthquake. But this blobby thing, that's volcanic. That's what it looks like when it's a volcanic related thing. And we still have higher readings here in Russia too. Here's the North Pole view, just another vantage point. So, see, we've got Russia here, and then here coming up across the Aleutian Islands. And here it is at 500 HPA. So I don't know what this was from. But that's a huge blast down here in Mexico. And here's our ozone hole. This is over the Antarctic today. And we can see it's all in some shade of green over the Antarctic. And here's aqua, even on the east side. That's the next color down. The solid yellow, that's 300 Dobson units, and that's considered to be an average number or a good number, a good thickness. And then once you start getting into a green shade, it's going down. It's thinner. So it's all very thin down here. And here's the Arctic view of the ozone. We've got heavy ozone gathering over the Arctic right now. And here's the global view. See all the greens. That's all below average, where you see the greens. And that's all of those. Alright, now time for sea ice. Okay, we'll go through this slideshow first. And these are images I save from Climate Reanalyzer every day. And this is sea ice and snow cover. Here we are today. Not much change, but the white on land, that's the snow. And so you can see how far the snow is right now. See, it's even down into Arizona right now. So here we are today. And let's see what happened this week. Here we were last Sunday. Just click through. There's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So we saw it just kind of going back and forth here in the North Barents Sea, and a little bit of retreat here in the Baffin Bay too. Alright, now here's our U.S. Navy models. This is Arctic sea ice thickness for today. And this is all we have of the thicker sea ice. See, See the reds? And the dark red is up to 5 meters thick. The bright red is 4 to 5 meters, 4 to 4.5 meters thick. The green is about 3 meters thick. The bright aqua is 2 to 2.5 meters thick, and then it goes down from there. And here in quadrant 2, this is where we saw some regrowth this week, just wispy ice here in this Barents Sea. And in quadrant 1, this Lactav Sea is still, it never really thickened up. It remained quite a bit thinner than the rest of this. And same in this Chukchi Sea area, it remained thinner as well. And the tributaries thickened up into aqua, and a little bit of aqua here in the Baffin Bay, and a little bit of aqua in the Hudson Bay, thickening. And we saw a little regrowth here in the Sea of Okhotsk as well. Okay, here's our 30-day animation. This was updated to today, so the data goes back 3 weeks, and the forecast period goes out to next Sunday. So let's see what it's showing. Now we should be reaching maximum extent just any time. But remember, extent just means how far out the sea ice is. It doesn't tell how thick it is or the quality of the ice. And they count every little crumb, every little bit as extent. So it's just mainly still thickening. I think we're seeing some retreat here in Bering Sea. Yeah, that's melting. Sea of Okhotsk, that's still freezing out a little more. So not much change this week. We're still seeing the aqua sliding down. See how it's exiting along this east side of Greenland. And it's also sliding west down towards the Beaufort Sea. Okay, here's the Beaufort Sea ice thickness. This is for today. Here's our thickest ice, see, right along the coastline. That's the 5 meter thick. Here's the bright red. Here's the green. Not much. And then here's our bright aqua. Down here, 2 to 2.5 meters thick. And then here's the Chukchi Sea. That's still about 1 to 1.25 meters thick here. Here's the 30-day animation. This was updated to today. So again, the forecast goes out to next Sunday. So it's still thickening. We can see that. But see, the ice drift pulls it away from the coastline. See that? And then it slides back. And that's typical. The ice is in constant movement. You normally don't think of it being in constant movement. You think of it being all solid and set, but it's in constant movement. So there's that. Here's the Antarctic. And so if it reached minimum on February 21st, then we're seeing a little bit of refreeze here. See the little fringe ice here in the Ross Sea. And maybe a little here in the Weddell Sea. I can't really tell. But this is all that's left of the thicker sea ice here next to the Western Peninsula. Okay, here's the 30-day animation. So the data goes back 3 weeks and forecast period goes out to next Sunday. So I'm wondering, let's go back. Here it was on the 21st. So here was the minimum. Let's see. So I'll just click through. We can see. So here's like a day or two of extra ice. I don't know how that happened, and then it went away. But we are seeing some regrowth here in the Weddell Sea and in the Ross Sea, and it looks like down here in the Amundsen Sea. And here, now we're in the forecast period. So it is starting on the refreeze here. Just wispy ice. Okay, here's National Snow and Ice Data Center. This is sea ice concentration for the Arctic for yesterday. And see, the brown is the median, so we're well under that. And here's the extent chart. This blue line is this year. The dotted line was 2012. The gray line is the median. And we had flatlined for a few days, and then see it nudged up with a little regrowth for a couple of days, and now looks like it's leveling off again. And so 2012, it reached maximum up here, which was around mid-March. I don't remember when we reached maximum last year, but anyway, this is where we're at. Not good. Here's the Antarctic sea ice concentration, and here's the extent for today or yesterday. Here's the blue line is this year, this gray-green line is last year, and we can zoom in a little more. And so they say that we bottomed out on the 21st, which was right. See, you can see here, and then it's almost a straight line. It's just a tiny nudge up, and we're still below last year, so we're still at record low 2 years in a row. So there's that. That's all of those. Now, we'll take a peek at NASA Worldview, and here's the Arctic, and see this black circle is a lot smaller. This is where it's still dark. The sun is coming up as the North Pole is tilting towards the sun, and let's look at sea ice concentration. So here we are today. And we'll get the blue marble layer. Now we can see the ice. So here we were last Sunday in our show last Sunday, and we'll just click through and see what happened. Here's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Look, it's melting there. Friday. See how it got more pink? This is melting. See. Saturday. And here we are today. So you see it moving into the red. This is melting here, all of this. And where you see the pink, any shade of pink means that it's got cracks in the ice. It's not frozen solid. Where you see the white, it means it's frozen solid. So we saw a little regrowth here in this North Barents Sea, and a little bit of regrowth around this Russia coastline, and see along this east edge of Greenland. This is melting here in the Bering Sea, and here's our regrowth in the Sea of Okhotsk. Then let's see what we can see on the satellite view. We'll start here at Greenland. Now there's a lot of clouds there. I haven't even looked at the nighttime layer to see if that might work. Let's see what we can see. Well, there's open water. Look at that. See the dark? That's open water. And that's where it's opening down into the Baffin Bay. And here's the nearest strait. Look, see, that's open. And here's the ice. And see, it's not frozen solid. You can see the pieces of ice. And see, open water. Look at this. Here's the Lincoln Sea. Look how that's broken up. Here's Greenland. Here's the ice. See the cracks? That's what I'm talking about. These leads are opening up already. And it's still in the dark there. And here's the east side of the ice. Here's Svalbard. Here's Franz Josef Land, and see these cracks. Here's Novaya Zemlya. Here's the Yamal Peninsula. Here's the sea ice in the Kara Sea, and see the cracks here? See, that's open water. Here's Komsomolets. And see, we've got open water here. Here's the ice. See this? And this is the area where we're seeing methane spewing up pretty much on a 24/7 basis. And come on up. Here's the Laptev Sea. See? And there's a shelf right along the coastline, and then here's the sea ice, and this is really thin here, and some of this is open water. And then here's the East Siberian. Wait. Here's the East Siberian Sea. So, this whole area is where we saw methane coming up through the ice on cams. And look at all this open water. See the dark. So what that means is that this ice is going to melt a lot faster. And here's the Bering Strait. Oh, got lost. Here's Barrow, Alaska. Here's the Beaufort Sea. See the cracks? And this is some of that thicker sea ice. This is 2 to 2.5 meters thick. But see these long, that's open. See the dark. And then here's Ellesmere Island. Can't really see much there. There's the North Pole. And see these cracks. I mean, this is going to be melting really fast, I'm afraid. So let's now we'll look at the satellite view. Here's this east edge. See. There's Svalbard. Here's Franz Josef Land. Here's Novaya Zemlya. Here's the Kara Sea. See. Here's Severnaya Zemlya. Komsomolets is still mainly in the dark. Here's the ice. See? Here's the Laptev Sea. Here's New Siberian Islands. There's the sea ice. Here's the East Siberian Sea. Here's the Bering Strait. Clouds. Lots of clouds. Here's the third. There we go. There's the ice. See? Here's the Chukchi Sea. Here's the Beaufort Sea. Now this was the third. Let's see. Wow, look at that. That was the ice drift pulling it, see? Watch it open up. See? That opened up today. Those big cracks. So there's that. Now we'll move down to the Antarctic, and the sun is going down here, so we'll see shadows and kind of maybe some unusual colors. So we'll start up here. Here's our iceberg, A76. that we've been following. So it moved a little bit this week, not much. Here we were last Sunday. Here it goes. So it's still just hanging around. Here's the Western Peninsula, and this is what's left of the thicker sea ice right here in the Weddell Sea. Can't really see it. I guess that's a cloud over it. I wonder if the nighttime view would work. Let's see. Pretty dark, isn't it? Yeah, I don't think that's gonna work. No, I don't think that's gonna work. So let's come on down. So here's Pine Island Glacier, and here's the Thwaites Glacier. And we've got cloud cover right now. Let's see. So here it was on the 2nd, which was Thursday. This might be our best view. And see the weird colors. That's shadows from the clouds, and the sun is at a low angle. So so here's the Pine Island Glacier, and this is where it had calved off a couple of years ago, and all this sea ice melted just within a few days this year. And then coming on down, here's the Thwaites Glacier, and see this ice next to it that's still melting. And this is what's left of the tongue. See that? It just got demolished. Here's this big piece floating around. So we can see this has been in high melt. And down here too, see, this is open. Okay, here's the Ross Sea, and here's the wispy ice coming back. Let's come back to today. Here's the Ross Sea. Here's Ross Island. And see the ice coming back. Here's Mount Erebus, the volcano. Look how long the shadow's getting. And this one, it's got a shadow too. And right up here is McMurdo Research Station. And see, here's our ice coming back. And here we are on the southeast end. Here's the Totten Glacier. This is a good view. And here's the tongue. So this never split off completely, but see, it's cracked all the way across, and there's a long crack there. It looks like we've got refreeze here on the left side. And here's some ice coming back. Here's the east side. Here's the Amory ice shelf. So here it is yesterday. Look. All this ice melted. See? And then coming around, here's the north end. Not much ice there. Here's some refreeze. See, here's the Brunt ice shelf, and here's some ice coming back. And here's our iceberg A81 that broke off. And remember, it broke off up here. And see, it's separated from these other pieces and looks like it's moving independently now. That's a huge piece. Here's some refreeze. And we're back to the Weddell Sea. Here's some refreeze. And that's it. And now, see, earthquake-wise, what we have here on USGS, we've got 190 earthquakes, all magnitudes, in the last 24 hours. I don't think we had any sixes. These are fives. 5.4 Philippines. 5.1 Nicobar Islands, India region. Here's a 5.8 just south of Australia. That's on the Antarctic plate line. Here's a 5.1 Atico, Peru. I think that's all the 5s. And then 4s and Turkey. We still have some earthquakes here. 4.0 Syria, 4.8 Dortiol, Turkey, and 4.0 Toygarli, Turkey. But the movement's moved down now. And so on. These are 4s, 4s, 4s. Up here, we've got a 4.5 in the Gulf of California. This is on this Imperial fault line, which becomes the San Andreas fault line in California. So, let's see. 37 in Southern California. That's kind of an average number. And the geysers, now they've been really active this week. 39 here now. That's gone down. So, here's some in Kansas. 2.5 Lincolnville, Kansas. 2.1 Kansas. So, Texas, 2.6. So let's see how many we've had this week. Seven days, all magnitudes. 1,974 earthquakes this week. Look at that. No Arctic earthquakes. We had activity in the Atlantic Ocean and had some 6s down here. 6.9 that was probably downgraded in the Kermadec Islands region. That was on the 3rd. New Zealand had some earthquakes, had some small ones. There, look at the Fiji region. See, this is kind of picking back up. Here's 6.5 Port Olry, Vanuatu, and 6.5 Kimbe, Papua New Guinea. Trying to just get the biggest ones. Then there were 5s at Sumatra, and so on. Look at all this activity along this Cocos Plate. See, Mexico, 5.7, Chahuitas, Mexico, and so on. So, only one on the Juan de Fuca Plate this week at 2.3. And I wanted to show the geysers. Look at this. 427 at the geysers this week. That's a lot. And I think the largest was a 3 or 3.1 there. So just more of all the same. So that's my report for tonight. And we're continuing to make our way through the book of Job. Job chapter 21. But Job answered and said, Hear diligently my speech, and let this be your consolations. Suffer me that I may speak, and after that I have spoken, mock on. As for me, is my complaint to man? And if it were so, why should not my spirit be troubled? Mark me, and be astonished, and lay your hand upon your mouth. Even when I remember I am afraid, and trembling taketh hold on my flesh. Wherefore do the wicked live, become old, yea, are mighty in power? Their seed is established in their sight with them, and their offspring before their eyes. Their houses are safe from fear, neither is the rod of God upon them. Their bull gendereth, and faileth not. Their cow calveth, and casteth not her calf. They send forth their little ones like a flock, and their children dance. They take the timbrel and harp, and rejoice at the sound of the organ. They spend their days in wealth, and in a moment go down to the grave. Therefore they say unto God, Depart from us, for we desire not the knowledge of thy ways. What is the Almighty that we should serve him? And what profit should we have if we pray unto him? Lo, their good is not in their hand. The counsel of the wicked is far from me. How oft is the candle of the wicked put out, and how oft cometh their destruction upon them? God distributeth sorrows in his anger. They are as stubble before the wind, and as chaff that the storm carrieth away. God layeth up his iniquity for his children. He rewardeth him, and he shall know it. His eyes shall see his destruction, and he shall drink of the wrath of the Almighty. For what pleasure hath he in his house after him, when the number of his months is cut off in the midst? Shall any teach God knowledge, seeing he judgeth those that are high? One dieth in his full strength, being wholly at ease and quiet. His breasts are full of milk, and his bones are moistened with marrow. And another dieth in the bitterness of his soul, and never eateth with pleasure. They shall lie down alike in the dust, and the worms shall cover them. Behold, I know your thoughts, and the devices which ye wrongfully imagine against me. For ye say, Where is the house of the prince? And where are the dwelling places of the wicked? Have ye not asked them that go by the way? And do ye not know their tokens, that the wicked is reserved to the day of destruction? They shall be brought forth to the day of wrath. Who shall declare his way to his face? And who shall repay him what he hath done? Yet shall he be brought to the grave, and shall remain in the tomb. The clods of the valley shall be sweet unto him, and every man shall draw after him, as there are innumerable before him. How then comfort ye me in vain, seeing in your answers there remaineth falsehood? Job chapter 21. So we're seeing also in our days, the days are getting darker, more vile and wicked as every day goes by. And this was all prophesied of for the end times. But if you believe in God and Jesus, you won't be under their wrath. You'll be saved from their wrath. If you haven't given your life to Jesus Christ, I recommend it now while you still can, while you have a chance. So I hope everyone has as good a week as possible. I love you all and I'm praying for you. And until next time, God bless you. Go in peace, and I will talk to you soon. Good night.